I'm Priscilla. Standing in the middle of the opulent engagement party tent, I looked around at the stunned faces. The air was thick with tension, and the whispers that had once been hushed now filled the space. My former fiancé, Ryan, stood beside me, his face ashen and his eyes filled with disbelief. I took a deep breath and began to speak, knowing that this moment would change everything. It all started 14 months ago when I met Ryan at a cozy coffee shop in the heart of the city. He was charming, with a warm smile and kind eyes. We hit it off immediately, and before I knew it, we were in a relationship. Little did he know, I was not the simple customer service representative he thought I was. I was raised by my grandmother, a wise and frugal woman who instilled in me the values of hard work and integrity. After my parents' untimely departure from my life, my grandmother took me in and raised me in her small, but cozy, cottage in the suburbs. She drove an old car and lived a simple life, but she was secretly a successful real estate investor. When she passed away, I discovered that she had left me a fortune, including a portfolio worth over $10 million and a letter that would change my perspective on life. In that letter, she wrote, "You can only see a person's true character when they think you have nothing to offer." Inspired by her words, I decided to keep my wealth a secret from Ryan. I let him believe that I was struggling to make ends meet, living in a small apartment and driving an old car. One day, Ryan invited me to dinner at his parents' mansion in the upscale neighborhood of Riverdale. As soon as I arrived, I knew this dinner would be a turning point. His mother, Mrs. Thompson, a haughty and pretentious woman in her late 50s, gave me a look of disdain as soon as her eyes landed on my budget-friendly dress. She leaned over to Ryan and whispered something, clearly thinking I couldn't hear. "The help must have come in through the wrong door," she said with a fake laugh. Ryan didn't say a word to defend me. Inside the house, it was a display of excessive wealth. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and expensive art adorned the walls. Ryan's sister, Ashley, a 32-year-old socialite, arrived 20 minutes late, wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than my annual salary. She greeted me with a single, cold hi and then immediately started talking to her mother about a charity event, completely ignoring me. During dinner, the questions started. Where did you grow up? What do your parents do? What's your job? I answered each question vaguely, sticking to the story of being a simple tech support worker. Then, Ashley dropped a bombshell. Have you talked to Stella lately? Stella was Ryan's ex-girlfriend, and her family owned a chain of high-end resorts. Mrs. Thompson smoothly picked up the conversation. Stella was such a lovely girl, so well suited to our family. It's a shame they broke up. Her family's business would have been a perfect fit for ours. I looked around the room and noticed the framed photos of Stella and Ryan on the wall. It was clear that they still held a special place in the family's heart. After dinner, I excused myself to find the bathroom. As I walked down the long hallway, I heard voices coming from a partially open door. It was Mrs. Thompson and Ashley. They were discussing how to get rid of me. We can't let Ryan make this mistake. This woman could ruin everything, Mrs. Thompson said. Ashley agreed. He's supposed to use her as a placeholder until the deal with Stella's family is finalized. But he's getting too attached. My heart sank as I realized that Ryan was using me. They planned to announce our engagement and then find a way to break it off before the wedding. They even talked about manufacturing a scandal to justify ending the relationship. I was just a pawn in their game. Filled with anger and determination, I decided to play along. When Ryan proposed to me later that evening, I said yes. I knew that I had to expose their true nature and teach them a lesson. Over the next 3 weeks, I used my skills as a senior product lead to dig into the Thompson family's business. I discovered that the resort chain was in serious financial trouble. They had overexpanded during the post-pandemic travel boom and were now drowning in debt. Their flagship resort in Hawaii was operating at a loss, and they were facing a lawsuit from a former employee. I also found evidence that Ashley had been embezzling money from the family business. She had been siphoning off funds through fake expense reports and payments to shell companies. The total amount was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I reached out to Mr. Harris, an old acquaintance of my grandmother's. He had a history with the Thompson family. They had cheated him in a real estate deal 20 years ago, and he was more than willing to help me expose them. The night of the engagement party arrived. I decided to reveal my true self. I wore an emerald green designer dress, a diamond pendant that had been my grandmother's, and a rare watch. As I walked into the party, heads turned. The confusion on their faces was priceless. Ryan was shocked when he saw me. "What's going on? Where did you get all this?" he asked. I simply replied, "I'm just being myself." As the party went on, the truth started to spread. People were checking their phones and making connections. When it was time for the official toasts, Mrs. Thompson took the microphone. She started talking about family and tradition, but I could see the nervousness in her eyes. I stepped up to the microphone and began to speak. "I want to thank you all for coming. But I also want to share the truth. When I first came to this house, I decided to let you see a simple version of me, a woman you would underestimate. I wanted to see how you would treat someone you thought had nothing to offer." I described the dinner, the whispered insults, and the conversation I'd overheard. I showed the photo of Ryan and Stella at a restaurant, taken while he was supposed to be working late. I also revealed the financial troubles of the resort chain and Ashley's embezzlement. The crowd gasped in shock. Ashley screamed that I was lying, but Mr. Harris stepped forward with a folder full of evidence. Mrs. Thompson tried to regain her composure and threatened to sue me for defamation, but I told her that everything I said was documented and verifiable. I then took off the engagement ring and handed it back to Ryan. "I will not be marrying you. I never intended to after I discovered the truth about you and your family. You let your mother control your life, and you lied to me. A man who can't be honest with the woman he claims to love is not a man I want to be with." The party descended into chaos. Mrs. Thompson was trying to salvage the situation, Ashley was cornered by her husband, and Ryan was left standing there, looking lost. I walked out of the tent and into the cool night air. Mr. Harris found me a few minutes later. "It's done. The lender has already made a call. The resort chain will lose its primary lending relationship by the end of the month," he said. I took a deep breath and felt a sense of relief. I knew that my grandmother would be proud of me. I drove away from the estate, leaving behind the lies and the deception. A week later, I saw the news that the resort chain was facing closure. The lender had cut ties with the family, citing financial mismanagement and ethical issues. Ryan texted me, asking to meet and explain everything, but I deleted the message. Some doors are better left closed. I've learned that the worth of a person is measured by their character, not by their bank account or social status. I'm going to keep building the life I've always wanted, surrounded by people who respect me for who I am. And I'll always remember the lesson my grandmother taught me: true character is revealed when you have nothing to gain and nothing to lose.